Alright, this came out 15 days ago, but I've been very busy, so we're only getting into it now. You know what they say, better late than never. Yeah, that's what we're going to be adhering to today. So let's briefly just look at the end of chapter 144 so we can remember what was going on there. Oh, yeah. So the Neo heroes started really coming into form, fighting against Metal Knight's robot army. I had all sorts of speculation about, is this some really elaborate con with the Neo heroes, putting the blame on someone else or something. I thought maybe Genos could be blamed for all of this. I thought maybe this was a setup to make the Hero Association look bad and that Metal Knight is secretly in cahoots with the Neo heroes, or I don't know, it doesn't really have to be anything like that. Like, I think that sort of twist that sort of aligns these two evil forces right now of the Neo Heroes and Dr. Metal Knight. I can't think of the doctor's name. I think that sort of twist could be, like, pretty powerful, but it's not necessary either, and I think this sort of, like, three-way battle is actually pretty interesting, too. Yeah, monsters attacking as well, alongside the robot army. She's going crazy, doing some heroics. I will become what Sweet Mask couldn't, the real thing. So she also has some sort of monstrous side, I think, that... Oh my gosh, excuse me. That she's trying to, sublimate with her heroics. Okay, let's move on to 145. What's the situation in each city? Everything's a mess. In case destruction, widespread destruction, the entire map will be wiped out. Okay. Neo Heroes conducting activities. As soon as their base is located, blue will be sent out. Okay. So they're getting up to speed. We could see another showdown happen at Metal Knight's base. Genos, of course, is on his way there now. I really like how goofy this building looks. It's just so flat. Very interesting. The Hero Response Association, unable to deal with it. Just become targets for the enemies. Whew. Yeah, it's kind of scary how strong each and every individual robot soldier is. I think that's something that they definitely underestimated. Like, they've dealt with widespread armies before of, like, mooks that get mowed down in waves by the heroes, and they've dealt with kind of singular forces or even a collection of powerful monsters, like the Monster Association, that are still overwhelmed in numbers by the heroes. This is like the first time I think that they've been outnumbered and outgunned, and this was like really well shown when Max Voltage or whatever, that hero who's pretty strong in his own right, is like solidly class A, fights so valiantly against the robot and barely wins and is like, damn, what a scary thing that was, and then sees like 800 more. Kunu offers some weapons free of charge. Okay. Executive leader of Nero. Stay focused, please. I see. So this guy's working with the Neo heroes now. I see. Metal Pat continues to be skeptical. Well, yes, because they tried to cyborgize him by force. Hostile robots numbering more than 1,500. This is a cool shot. I like how the drone looks. It's so simple and yet so terrifying. Just this, like, otherworldly entity. Switch to destroying the city. I like this sort of depiction. It reminds me kind of like of Half-Life's, like, 9-minute war or whatever that's called. where the Vogons, I believe they're called, show up and just annihilate Earth's forces in 9 minutes. Just something about, like, this very detached summarizing of it just really emphasizes, like, how outclassed these defenses are by the robots. The battle started. More robots appear in M City. At least 3,300. I like that even Metal Knight, with all of his knowledge and stuff, because of his knowledge, sends so many forces to where King is. And King is just totally MIA. He ran a long time ago. Okay, so this is a summary for us readers, but then it also is kind of like, this has been Child Emperor's perspective of the morning as he slurps down this lollipop and analyzes strategically. Forcing connection to receiving sphere of the covered unit. Done. We don't know what he's up to. I love the trash bin as just like a nice little detail. I like that he's sleep deprived. He looks so haggard. This poor kid. Round at the unit identification signal table. This is a good point too. Like, this is something that they did have to confirm because, you know, everything sort of exists in this world. And some portal to a robot dimension or some alien species that looks like this, or just some naturally occurring creatures that just happen to look like robots, is a possibility, and then could put the potential population in like the billions. Whereas if they're man-made, I think Child Emperor is thinking, oh, well, that kind of puts a cap on how many robots could potentially exist. Even if this creator of them, whoever that is, had been making them nonstop since the day they were born, there's only so many robots that amounts to. There's tens of thousands still. Some dark intention behind it. Query the robot industry database. I'd be able to catch those who set this robot army in motion. But then he recognizes it's Metal Knight. I think this is where he recognizes. But this is kind of interesting because I kept suggesting, oh, I think this is going to be some like ultra devastating twist where Metal Knight somehow successfully pins the attack on Genos or something. I just kind of thought that was such like a tragic arc. Genos finally fights the Mad Cyborg and then is like called the Mad Cyborg and is like blamed for this entire attack or something. And I thought it made sense with how much the carnage and like the deaths of innocents and stuff were being emphasized. But I don't know, like if Child Emperor is already figuring it out, how could Metal Knight get away with that? I don't really talking to an adult right now. These are great shots, by the way. I love this like silhouette shot with just his face. I love how harrowed he looks here, reeling from the realization. Also, the 200 members of Child Emperor squad is interesting. I wonder what kind of squad he's been given. Enhanced by the Neo Heroes battle suits and then Child Emperor's own gadgetry and stuff. Maybe they're all kids too. I don't know. Alright. The battle suits. The Suiru team. Where's Suiru himself? We don't know, but whatever. Very strong. How the team destroys robots, other half protects citizens. Easy. Huh. Wow. Yeah, this is kind of neat, because for a while we've kind of had this Neo Heroes versus Hero Association plot, and then to kind of frame it with this huge conflict, I think really like pushes to the foreground the relevance of this. Like the Hero Association is just straight up being like obsoleted. Don't come. How many in the Hero Association could even enter this battlefield without a battlesuit? And of course worried about his sister in particular, who signed up with the Hero Association, and I'm sure is super mega strong in her own right. But yeah, probably not up to this. Large numbers of opponents many times before. Most boss level enemies at the beginning, they hang back and observe the situation. Ooh. And these monsters, it hasn't been explicitly explained, but it's mentioned before that Metal Knight has monsters in captivity for like research and stuff. So I assume he just like let all of those out. And again, it's like more and more and more evidence is pointing towards Metal Knight that anyone can observe. But I still feel like there's going to be like, there's no way his mastermind plan was like, oh, I'll just win. Like, sure, maybe he can win, but like, there's got to be more to it than that. There's got to be like an element of maintaining like a position of trust and social power and stuff too, I think. Oops, I went the wrong way. Hee-haw. Nice, nice. Awesome panel. Look at the eyeball bulge out. It feels like it's flying off the screen. Very gnarly. Good job, one. Don't go chasing too far. With the power of the suits, you can't win against the strong. If something really bad comes out, give me a call. Alright, alright. It's all going well. It's very confident, very cocky. There's Suiko. Finally waking up. 7 a.m., pretty early. And then the actual announcement comes. I don't know. I mean, I think Suiru is totally right. Like, it's you're just gonna be making fodder. Unfortunate but true. A-class heroes just living there. 8 people. Those who just happen to be here, 13 B-class heroes. Similarly, 32 C-class heroes. Oh boy. Yeah, they don't want to go. This feels like they're all just kind of in silent consensus that going out and trying to fight is stupid. They don't even have any S-class heroes to kind of lead the operation. They know they're just going to be cannon fodder. Except for Suiko, who comes in and is like, I want to fight. What's the protocols? Protecting this location. 4 million of them and counting. Oh my lord. Now this is interesting because this is Metal Knight's defense forces, right? These are the things he installed to protect this big city, this citadel. So like, this to me suggests, yes, he's going to somehow try to shift the blame from this and get off scot-free. Because otherwise, why would he have his own defense forces fight his own robots? It's the plausible deniability. It's to make it seem like he was doing everything he could to prevent this. Joint defense system is fighting back. They break through. We're the only ones who can fight back. Well, if they break through the joint defense system. I couldn't figure out who they were in this situation. Whatever. These are gnarly shots too. I just love the vast variety of robot designs that one has come up with. And then it's like a nice contrast that these enemy robots are so like generic and so consistent and stuff. Like it's just this one design over and over and over again. It makes you really root for the good guys, I think, because these homogenous robots, they're like, ugh, it's boring. Like we can't lose to 3 million of the same thing. You're rooting for this guy because he's awesome and he's got this like Morning Star rocket launcher thing. Didn't even last an hour. We have nowhere to run. This might be the end of humanity. Oh, there's Beat whatever and Frog and Chain. Saitama's neighbors that he left Rover and Black Sperm with. Could this be the long-awaited re-relevance of Black Sperm and Rover? Black Sperm has now regenerated to the extent that he's a super strong fighter again? Maybe? Yeah. I'm brisk of losing from a dead heat against a something rich in variety. Against a something that is intently preparing for many years without being noticed. He's like frustrated, I think. Because that's exactly what the Monster Association wanted to be. The Monster Association wanted to be this something that emerges and humanity is not ready for it after years of intense preparation. Generally collect and efficient. No, let's have fun. Let's negotiate. Saitama's absence means their luck has run out. This is so fun. I really like that we're getting Black Sperm's thoughts on this, because it comes from such an interesting position. And we can't really tell yet, is he feeling a little sympathetic for these poor humans? Is it just his frustration that it should have been them, it should have been Monster Association? Is it his total apathy, just kind of nonchalantly remarking on the strategies he's witnessing and doing some commentary but not really being that invested in the outcome? I don't know. There's like some ambiguity with this character, I think, which is kind of neat. But he's definitely deep in thought about it. In this situation, the word despair comes to mind. We might all get wiped out. If you and Blue can bridge the two groups together, you can bring about a new era of heroes. The two groups, neo-heroes and heroes with stupid name association. Yeah, no, Saitama did not understand what that meant, and he probably thought you were talking about the Hero Name Association, if he even heard you, so GG. The nice thing is that it's not even necessary. Saitama can just do it himself. Alright, Blue having a tough time. Still just walloping everybody, still on a whole other tier of power, but not able to fight forever, not an infinitely powerful person. Scale may have been unexpected, but we can easily exterminate a hostile force of this size. Isn't that right? Undisturbed by enemies' numbers or strength. It's all this damage. Yeah, this is so cool. This is like a really brutal realization that I feel like the series has usually kind of just sort of joked about in situations like going as far back as like the meteor. Saitama blows up the meteor and saves the Earth, but then all the rubble from the explosion falls down and still damages the city, and they're all like pissed off at him, right? This sense that no matter what, even in the best outcome, there's still all this damage, there's still all this like displacement of life and stuff, has usually kind of been like that sort of punchline. And here, I think with this character of Blue, it's like really cool that we get a more realistic and a more human perspective on just how brutal this is and how little a force like a superhero can prevent this residual damage. That even if they wiped out all the robots right now, there would still be already this huge amount of damage. Me, the least I can do is fight. Figure out the source of the disaster. Even at a time like this, my dad isn't coming out. Yeah. That's another good point. Is this finally on the scale that we might see Blast intervene? I doubt it. I'm curious, what is Watchdog Man up to? Is he trivially destroying all the robots in his area? We don't know. Okay, Genos arrives at Beaufoy's laboratories. Dr. Beaufoy, I remembered. Metal Knight. 3 important locations that Drive Knight pinpointed. I need to leave this to you. It's a battle between S-Class heroes. Okay. Now this is getting a little suspicious again. Just this final repetition of Metal Knight is your enemy starts to make Drive Knight look suspicious again. I've always been team that trust Drive Knight, Metal Knight is the enemy. Just because I thought it made for the most interesting storytelling and that it opened us up to the potential of this arc, which we are seeing unfold right now. And I think, this massive scale robot invasion and stuff is the exact sort of arc we were all meant to anticipate when Metal Knight was revealed to be this villain. And we know that Metal Knight is certainly sketchy at the very least. He's up to something. But at the same time, more and more it feels like there's still some big twist looming in this arc that's going to make it like all the more tragic. Something that will kind of double down on this violence and make it even more like painful and tragic and senseless, So I don't know. This final repetition of Metal Knight is your enemy. Could it be? Okay, hear me out on this one. Metal Knight is the enemy, but Drive Knight is also the enemy. And Drive Knight tells Genos this in a bid to gain his trust. Drive Knight knows that Genos is going to run pell-mell off to go fight Metal Knight. And then the whole thing was orchestrated in a way to frame Genos for this entire incident. And Drive Knight will corroborate and something like that. I think there's a lot of potential there. Fulfills the requirements of making that violence feel so tragic and senseless, and seeing Genos reviled and blamed for it is going to be so painful. This, of course, leading to his ultimate insane redemption arc. We could have another twist where Drive Knight is the psycho cyborg that murdered Genos' family and village, leading to a big climactic showdown between Genos and Drive Knight as the mad cyborg, before kind of like Saitama comes in and punches Metal Knight, presumably. I don't know. A lot of twists. I think the Genos versus Drive Knight fight has a lot of potential, so I could see them aiming for a way to write that. We'll find out. Great chapter. Hopefully this pace continues and I'm reading another one very shortly. Again, sorry for the wait. My life has just been very, very busy lately, and there's a lot of YouTube stuff that I'm just getting to now. But please look forward to more. Bye-bye.